Hi, it's Tuesday afternoon and I'm outside the community centre on Botley Road, the West Oxford Community Association. And I'm going to look at Helen Road, which one of the viewers commented about. I thought I'd show him what it's like now. It's also involved with some Oxford history and a lot of building, which I'll talk about. And I'm starting at the community centre because it's a useful reference point. I'm going to show a little map of the local roads, streams and bridges, and the community centre is on that. I've been here before for the Tumbling Bay video, the one about Tumbling Bay bathing place. Now I'm very tempted by a coffee here. They do lovely cakes, but that might be a bit extravagant at the moment, so I'll leave it. What I am going to look at, evidently, is more flooding. I should have thought that Botley Park would be flooded too. And I'll show you where we are on the map shortly. I'm not going to walk into this. Wow. So this is Botley Park, which has, well, it's really become a whole bathing place of its own. And those birds are enjoying it. So that's Botley Park, and that's the community centre from here. And that's looking towards Botley Road again, and that's St Fried's Church on the other side. So I'm now going to walk to Helen Road. I probably sound rather hoarse, but the cold air is getting me. It's very cold and damp, more so than I'd thought it would be. And it's not actually very good conditions for making a video, or at least speaking over one. So what I'm standing on now is Osney Ditch Bridge. The commenter, the viewer who I thought I'd video this for, recalls a time many years ago when they were standing wet or drizzle covered and rather miserable by the, as he put it, aptly named Osney Ditch. Well, this is the Osney Ditch Bridge. This is the modern bit, and that's the old road bridge. It's an awkward angle. And this is Osney Ditch. Which goes round the west side of Botley Park. And this is a very full Osney Ditch, as you can see. That's newish, and rather nicely they've named it Tumbling Bay Court after the so-called Tumbling Bay at the back of Botley Park. And there seem to be various meanings of Tumbling Bay, but one of them was, I think this is right, a largish sort of pool into and out of which water is fed, and it helps control the speed of the water. This is Botley Road. This is Henry Road, which actually has something in common with Helen Road, which I'll talk about. So that's Henry Road. This is Botley Road, and I did a video about changes on Botley Road a few days ago, and one of the changes, sadly, is that the Italian grocer Pickle and Lime over there has closed. Possibly, going from what they said sometime earlier, because of Brexit. So this is Helen Road. I'll get away from the traffic noise. Okay, so there are 3 orange lines going slightly leftward. Botley Road is orange and runs horizontally. South is downwards. On the north of Botley Road, you've got those 3 leftward leaning lines. The one on the left is Binsey Lane. Then there's Helen Road, so that's where I am now. And then there's Henry Road, which we just passed. The green area on the right is Botley Park. And then on the right of Botley Park, you've got the allotments, which don't really figure here. And there are 2 blue lines which are streams. The line going from right to left, going from top right to bottom left, is the Bullstake stream, and the line going from middle left to bottom right sort of is the aptly named Osney Ditch, and that goes round the bottom edge of Botley Park and then goes under Botley Road at Osney Ditch Bridge. So that's what I was just showing you, Osney Ditch. And As I say, I am on Helen Road, which is the middle of those three almost vertical lines. Okay, well, one thing that may strike you about these houses is that they're uniform in appearance. They all look the same. I'll move up a bit to get away from the noise of that lorry. And a few days ago, I did a video where I walked down Parks Road. I think that was the fog and flood video last Thursday, when I got up at dawn to show the fog over the city. And I'd walked from the parks to look at the mist rising over the grass, and walked down Parks Road past Wadham College and then into Cat Street. And Wadham College has been having a lot of building work, and there was a big hoarding outside it, purple hoarding with white lettering, lettered Kingerlee. And Kingerlee is an old established Oxford building company, still going, that in 2018 celebrated its 150th anniversary, or its 150th year of trading. So that's Kingerlee, Kingerlee, and they built Helen Road and Henry Road, both in 1902. So let's talk about Thomas Henry Kingerlee. Thomas Henry Kingerlee was born in 1843 in Banbury and moved to Oxford in 1883. And in 1868, apparently, he inherited his father's business and married somebody called Helen Dorcas Hunt. Note the Helen. And he took over premises at 16 Queen Street. And he seems to have been a fast-moving businessman. By 1887, he'd acquired a timber yard and joinery works somewhere in Abbey Road, and one in Mill Street on the other side of Botley Road, which was useful for river deliveries. And by this 1887, he'd already built 70 houses for rent off Botley Road and over 70 off Iffley Road. And if you've seen my other videos, you'll know that there was loads of building going on at that time. I quoted from a novel that was set in 1881 in Oxford, where the protagonist talks about cycling through a ragged patchwork of farms, market gardens, and new building works on her way to Summertown. Summertown was still a separate village then. Oxford was expanding madly. There's a posh road called Harberton Mead on the other side of the parks, on the other side of Marston Ferry Road. And the first house there was built in, somewhere around 1880 or 1890. And that was a significant enough event that it was written up in the local paper, Jackson's Weekly. Roads around Summertown were being built at the same sort of time. Lake Street and what used to be called Post Office Street on the south side of Folly Bridge. Any resident knows where Lake Street is. Off the Abingdon Road, were built in around about 1850 or 1860, I think. But again, not far from the mid-80s. And as I say, Helen Road and Henry Road were built in 1902. So anyway, by 1887, Thomas Henry Kingerlee had already built 70 houses off Botley Road and over 70 off Iffley Road. I'm getting a lot of this information from a Botley Park website which commemorates him, and it goes on to say that in 1886 to 1889 he built all the houses in Hillview Road and on the east side of Binsey Lane, which is the next road in that direction, as I said, and Alexandra, Harley and Oatlands Road, which are over on the south side, Botley Road, and more estates in north, south and west Oxford. And altogether, apparently, by 1935 he'd built over 700 houses. And this connects up with somewhere else that I've visited and mentioned. I did a video of the so-called 5 Mile Drive triangle. 5 Mile Drive, Lakeside and Linkside Avenue, the latter two being to the north of it, and also Carey Close. The lake that Lakeside is named after used to be the so-called Wolvercote brick pit, and apparently that is where Kingerlee got his bricks from, bricks made from Oxford clay at the Wolvercote brick pit. It wasn't just houses he built. His public buildings include the Frank Cooper Marmalade Factory, nowadays generally known as the Jam Factory, the Ultimate Picture Palace, once known as the Penultimate Picture Palace in Jeune Street, what is now the United Reformed Church in Summertown. I think it was called the Congregational or Congregationalist Church then, but it's the same building. And the Girls' Central School in New Inn Hall Street, which is now used, actually has been used for quite a long time as part of the St. Peter's College buildings. And he was made mayor of Oxford twice. And I think he was also made sheriff at least once. And he lived round here too for part of the time. I've mentioned the Riverside Hotel, which is on the other side of Botley Road, over in that direction by Osney Bridge. Well, he lived there, Thomas Henry Kingerlee lived there from 1889 to 1905. And there is a blue plaque there that commemorates him. Helen and Henry Road were named after his children. And I do wonder whether, as he presumably had a child called Helen, she was named after his wife, Helen Dorcas Hunt. And his company, as I mentioned, was still going strong in 2018 on its 150th year, and it must still be going strong today, given the number of Kingerlee hoardings I see around Oxford. So that is a man who built a lot of Oxford at the period when perhaps it was expanding the fastest. So let's look at Helen Road. That is number 34. I'll give a few house numbers if I can see them for people who've lived here before and want to recapture it. That is number 36. sorry, 38. That's number 42 with the black, or is it navy blue door? That's number 50 with the blue and green bins and the blue door. And then there's a funny sort of little extension here, number 58. And a garage. And here we have Osney Ditch again. So that is the Botley Park. That is what I was looking at from Botley Road. And then that is the flooding in the middle of Botley Park. A very serene landscape. And over there, I think that's Tumbling Bay. So I think that must be the Bullstake stream, which will be going round and passing under Binsey Lane. And that must be a continuation of the Osney Ditch, with a fair amount of water contributed from elsewhere. I'm not sure what or where that comes from. So this is looking upstream Osney Ditch. Now I'm facing the west side of Helen Road. I'm pretty sure that, well, it could have been built by Kingerlee, but it probably wasn't built by the original Kingerlee. And now back to the Kingerlee style houses on this side. So the numbering scheme seems to be that the houses end in the mid-40s and you've got odd numbers where I'm pointing now. That's 47. And that's 45. And you've got even numbers on the other side. The white door is number 43. That is 33. That must be the back of Binsey Lane. The back of the east side of Binsey Lane. The house with the white door and white number between the door and the window is 27. Yellow door is 25. Blue door is called the Ark for some reason. Here's a change in style. That's number 23. And I'm just going to go up there and see where it leads. Oh, I never knew about this. Wow. And that is Binsey Lane. Going over the Bull Stake stream there. Right, where was I? So, I didn't know before that there was this little passageway between Helen Road and Binsey Lane, but now I do.
Afternoon.
Afternoon. So that's the passageway. That is number 19. That's number 9. That is number 1. And that's the church. I think when I first noticed it, it was called the Elim Pentecostal Church, and it had a bit of a flourish above the door. They've taken that off, and it's now called the Restoration Church. That's Woodlands Pharmacy. That's number 2. That is number 10 with the, I presume that's a motorbike. And that's number 12. And this roughly is where I started videoing details of the road after talking about its history. So that is Helen Road with the bridge into Botley Park at the end, and the Osney Ditch going round behind the houses. And I'm going to stop now because A, I've done Helen Road, and B, it is really getting unpleasantly cold. Day looks nice, but it doesn't feel nice. So I'll see you next time.